Alrighty, what's up, y'all? Let's talk about this motorcycle therapy. Let's talk about expectation management. This topic is, I just want to talk about my daughter just because she's normally the reason I think of stuff, but not necessarily this time. I was actually talking with my stepdad, which made me think about our relationship, me and his, and then which made me think about my relationship with my daughter. So I'll start off with my stepdad, right? So mom's passed, and since then, we've been talking about a lot of stuff. We just have random conversation, reminiscing, and then during one of these conversations, he happened to tell me that my sister was probably one of the main catalysts in getting him off my back, right? Like, I'm fairly successful in life right now. I had a stint of time where I was pretty stagnant, didn't do so well. I'll talk about that in a second, but for the longest time, he wanted me to become an officer. He's the reason I'm in the military. I always wanted to stay enlisted. He wanted me to go in, maybe do enlisted real quick, maybe be an officer afterwards, or he wanted me to come in and be a warrant officer. Back in the day, the program did exist. Then it went away for, 20-something years, and now it's back. But during that time, he was always pushing, wanted me to become an officer, and I'm just like, I know. I didn't want to. And I couldn't get it across to him that that's not my path. It's not something that I want to do. And it's hard for parents, because I am one, to see their child, their spawn, their offspring, their ward, person they are raising and responsible for, both financially, physically, all the things, go out of what you expected them to do. Because you put in all this effort, you do all this stuff when they're kids, and you're trying to keep the bumper bowling lanes up while you hope they eventually go down this path where you see them hitting what you seem to see as a strike. But then you look at your kid, then they jumped over the bumpers and ran down the street. Now they're playing basketball. It's not even a game he was playing. So I had to look at my kid the same way, or I was looking at my kid, I believe, similar to the same way my stepdad was looking at me. And he told me this in a conversation, and I was like, I never knew why you stopped asking me. I thought you just finally got used to me saying I don't want to do it, because it was literal years. I spent quite a bit of time. I've been in the Air Force for 24 years, and of that 24 years, coming up on 25, I spent almost 9 of those as a staff sergeant, E5. Not the best rank, not the worst rank, but I fully thought that I was going to retire, maybe make tech, which is E6, and then I was going to be cool. I'm now a senior master sergeant. I'm one rank left from the highest ranking enlisted you can be, other than like a command chief or a chief master sergeant in the Air Force. You're still E9, but you're E9 with special duty. That's the highest. That's it. That's as high as you can go. I never thought I was going to make it past Stanford Tech, and I was like, this is kind of cool, but I didn't expect it to happen. Somehow over the years, I just happened to get my shit together, happened to be more focused in my career, happened to have the right opportunities in the time the people are retired coming in front of me, and then I moved up. I reinvigorated my passion for success, and now I'm kind of like, damn it, I expect to be chief, hopefully, and I need to do this and I need to do that, but I found my thing. And I was looking at my daughter when she was in high school. Of course, you expect your kid to have all A's, you expect her to do the things, be magna cum laude, summa cum laude, and then go to the highly technical schools, or the big lawyer schools, or the doctor schools. My daughter graduated just fine. She didn't do the Doogie Howser route, where she was a genius, and I was dumb as hell in high school. For the 9th grade, I was I was an intelligent dumbass. I had the knowledge, but I never applied it the way I was supposed to do. When I look back, I skipped the first hour for like a year. I had the easiest geography class, 6 hour. I just had to point out where the United States was, basically, and I damn near failed. Had summer school once or twice, not bragging, but I saw my kid doing the same thing, and I'm like, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to keep her from doing what I did, because I know her potential, and I know her actual, and they're both aligned. It's not like I was seeing something that was, a fantasy. I'm like, oh, my daughter's got all this potential, and she was a shitbag. No, my daughter's awesome, and I saw the awesome, and I wish she would have saw the awesome and applied said awesome. But in my efforts to force her to do so, it kind of stymied some of my progress. And then during the last couple years, obviously after my divorce, we had some issues. She didn't talk to me for like a year, and trying to save my relationship with my daughter, and her dealing with the divorce, me dealing with divorce, me just dealing with life, me being older and honestly more wise and more open to change. I chilled out, basically. I relaxed on my approach. And again, in my older videos now, I talk to her. We just talk. We just have chats. And while talking to her, I'm like, yo, you did all this stuff. And then you know what I said? Yeah, I'm proud of you for being you, the you that you are right now. She didn't get pregnant in high school. That's the goal for young women in today's society, young black women, all women, period, right? Should be, I think, personal opinion. Because the child, not saying that there's anything wrong with the child, but the child is a extremely huge obstacle to success at such a young age. And I didn't want her to throw off her career. She want to get pregnant, fine, if not fine. But in high school, come on, that's just not acceptable. And she didn't do that. She ain't hoeing. She wasn't a hoe. She isn't a hoe, at least to my knowledge. Cool. Now, again, if you hoeing, listen, public servants are vastly appreciated. Strip clubs are vastly appreciated. I got no issues with that. I just didn't want that for my daughter. However, she chooses to do that now at the age of 19. I could do to stop her, right? However, she was within the bounds that I had mentally set for my child, sans a few achievements, right? Like I wanted her to achieve bigger and better, but now she's doing things. She had actually honestly surprised me right after high school. She went to this mortgage thing, and I was like, 6 weeks ago, you was failing the math class, and now you telling me how to calculate mortgage rates and APR and how home equity loans work, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? But then I thought about it. I was like, oh, she likes this. I was too busy placing my expectations, projecting, if you will, since that's the buzzword these days, on her, that she was already doing what I wanted her to do. She just wasn't doing it the way I wanted her to do it. She was applying herself. She was doing well in math. She was managing her money. She was taking responsible things. She was talking. She went to a job interviewed by herself, recorded the whole interview, played it for me. I'm like, who is this kid? Who is this kid that wouldn't clean up her room and get no punishment? When I just backed off a smidge. I didn't fully give up, like, oh, I'm not gonna care. I'm gonna let you do whatever you want. No, I'm still dad. I'm still guiding. I'm still providing advice and guidance. However, I also give her an allowance, not money-wise, an allowance to be herself. I had to manage my expectations, and I had to look at all the good stuff she's done. She was a champion gymnastics member, right? She's got awards and the medallions all over her walls. I'm like, yo, my daughter's awesome. I need to chill out. The same thing happens with a lot of relationship stuff, daughters, work. I got troops where I'm like, yo, I can relate to where you at, but I need you to do better. But I have to find out if they know what their thing is. I need to put them in a place to excel, or I need to probably manage my expectations as a leader and say, well, sometimes I'm just not going to have a stellar troop. I'm just going to have a troop in which I can model my other troops' performance by. Unfortunately, not everybody can be the main character, so if I got a stellar troop, then I'm going to need somebody to compare the stellar troop to. Unfortunately, then that's you. I've managed my expectations. If you happen to exceed them and do better, then we shall reevaluate what I think of you. But until then, hey, as long as you meet the requirements, you ain't got to go above and beyond. I wish you would. However, if you want to finish your career out like that, go ahead, because I was that troop. 9 years staff sergeant, get out of here. And then I just happened to, one day, light switch flipped, got my shit together, progressed to where I am now. And it's not, you know what, I said I'm never going to talk about relationship and shit again, so same thing with, like, interpersonal relationships between friends and family and love, romantic relationships. You got to manage your expectations, and they should manage their expectations for you, right? You guys should be able to have a adult conversation, sit down and talk about the things. And if you see yourself, you have to look at yourself. This requires a lot of internal reflection. If you see yourself overly projecting or placing what you think someone else should do on them, and they're not meeting that expectation, especially if you haven't talked about it. Especially if you haven't talked about it. If you talked about it, it's slightly different. But if you haven't talked about it, you're doing two things. You're punishing them and yourself for an unspoken expectation that they're not meeting, that they don't even know exists. So you're holding them to a high standard, or a standard period, that they're not even aware of, and then they're failing in your eyes because you aren't managing your expectations. Now, if you've talked about it and the person says they can or cannot do the thing, then you have to go with the cannot, and they told you this, and you have taken it upon yourself to accept that risk in maintaining whatever the relationship is based on that expectation, because it is either that important to you that you give up a relationship, or it's not that important to you but you don't give up the relationship, yet you have to give up your tight grip on said expectation. because they said they cannot meet it. Now, if they said that they can and they are not, or they're willfully or purposely not meeting that expectation, and you know this, not through malicious, like I'm forcefully doing it. I'm sorry, it is malicious and they're purposely not doing it. Then you have to have another talk. And then the third talk is if it's benign and it's not malicious, and they just are still not meeting your expectation, it requires a whole different set of words and tact because they're not doing it on purpose. It took me a long time to figure this shit out. Expectation management is a bitch. And I still fail every now and then internally. I'll do some internal checks before I get to yapping off at the face of my kid. I've learned to do that. But I'm still working on it. Manage your expectations. I expect this lady not to hit me. Hey, expectation met.